Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Macon-Bibb County Pre-Commission. Today is December the 5th, and the time is now 5:04. We'd like to welcome everyone here today and those that are watching at home. And we're going to do our meeting like we always do with a call to order. We have all of our commissioners here tonight. That's waiting on Mr. Bronson to have a military absence tonight. So we're going to go ahead and move with item 2A, which is the approval of the minutes. This is the approval of the minutes for the November 21st, 2023 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Wynn. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Howell. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda tonight. We're going to move on to contracts, and we have three of those tonight. Item 3A is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a facility use agreement with Embraer Aircraft Maintenance Services for airplane storage at the Middle Georgia Regional Airport. We have Doug Fowler here tonight. Where's he at there? For any questions on that item, you've received all the documentation there about this lease in your packages, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to bring him up front. At this time, I entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Wynn, second by Commissioner Lucas. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item B is another related item to the airport, which is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Reeves Construction Company in an amount of $5,785,779.50 for the runway 10-28 reconstruction project at Macon-Bibb Airport. Can we get a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Jones. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Wynn, and I also heard Tillman over there. Questions concerning this item, Mr. Doug, if you don't mind coming up to there. I know we probably have a couple questions on that one. Just tell us a little bit about what's going on there and what the money is going to be used for. Make sure that is mic on? Go ahead and speak in that mic.
Test, test. There we go. Let's move it up just a little bit. Doug Fowler, Director of Aviation, Macon-Bibb County. The reconstruction of runway 1028 is at the Macon Downtown Airport, and the purpose of this reconstruction is to address compliance issues with the runway. As you may recall, a couple years ago, we went into design for this project, which was to address a line of sight issue. The requirements that the FAA sets forth for us in terms of safety is to ensure that the approach end of the runway, if you're at the approach end of the runway, you can see the departure end. This prevents collisions and a variety of other things. Therefore, due to the slope on the runway, it's necessary for us to reconstruct it, lowering the peak, if you will, of the runway that's in the center and lifting up the approach and departure end so it's visible. You have clear line of sight from one end to the runway to the other.
Okay. Commissioner Howell has a question.
Yeah, obviously gotten a lot of phone calls about this, and I mean, this has been going on. We've been talking about it for 2 years. When do you think construction is actually going to start, and how long will it affect folks that are based at downtown?
Construction will start on January 8th. It could run up to 6 months depending on weather and other conditions. We're hoping for about a 6-month period of time.
Okay, so 6 months, and we're actually breaking ground in January then.
January 8th, yes, sir.
And I'm sure that you guys have already got everybody up to speed, and they can make arrangements to.
Yes, sir.
Elsewhere.
We've had 2 meetings thus far with tenants of the airfield. We have another meeting scheduled upcoming very soon. We've sent out tenant advisories on multiple occasions. So the tenants are very much aware with it. We have worked with all of the businesses located on the airport to include Middle Georgia State University, the Division of Forestry, and the T-Hangar owner as well. So we've made accommodations for all of those, the university, the Division of Forestry, and anyone who chooses to relocate their aircraft at the regional airport while the runway is under construction. And we've done this to minimize any impact on the businesses or the users of the airfield to the best of our ability.
Is there any hangar space available? Limited, I guess?
Yes, sir. We'll be using the lower hangar at the old Bombardier facility, also known as MHIRJ. The lower hangar will accommodate a majority of the aircraft, and we also have access to the upper hangar as well. And we have, based on our determinations, and the individuals have expressed interest in coming to the airport, we'll be able to accommodate everyone that's there now.
Good. Thanks for the information.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Howell, any other questions regarding this particular item? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and be sent to consent agenda. Another items related to that is item 3C. This is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the mayor to execute a work authorization with Goodwin Mills Canwood LLC in the amount of $564,860 for consultant services for the reconstruction of runway 10-28 at Macon-Downtown Airport. We have a motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Howell. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any questions? Hearing no questions, I'm sorry. I got y'all together now. Commissioner Lucas, you had a question?
I just wanted for information. There are a lot of people who are watching who don't have the background and who haven't had the information that we've had to review. And I just don't want anybody thinking that we're just approving this, just because somebody says to. We get this information ahead of time. We've read through it, and we pretty much understand what's going on, and that is why a lot of times there's not a lot of questions, a lot of discussion, because we have reviewed it. Just wanted you to make it clear that which airport this is, that we do have two
Yes, ma'am.
airports, both of them in District 3 for the time being. And just mention the other things that you were talking about that are housed at the downtown and the location.
Yes, ma'am. So at the Macon Downtown Airport, formerly known as Herbert Smart, just a couple miles away, so we have two airports. We have the regional airport, which is on the south side of the county, and then the Macon Downtown Airport, which is closer by, of course. Both airports serve general aviation, which is aircraft owners, flight training, medical flights. The difference between the two airports, the regional airport on the south side, is it's as commercial service, and that's the primary difference. Of course, the regional airport is larger as well. So the Macon Downtown Airport, it serves general aviation and primarily flight training. So the Middle Georgia State University has roughly, I think, about 100 students there that are doing flight training. There's also a business there that is, a gentleman owns a row of T hangars that he leases for aircraft storage. So aircraft owners that live in our community have a place to store their aircraft. And then we also have the Division of Forestry that utilizes the airport as well. That does a variety of things, such as fighting fires that may spread out throughout the state, and doing other observations and things over the state's property. So it does serve an important role. We also have medical flights that go there for a variety of different reasons. There's also some corporate traffic that goes there as well. Individuals that want to fly into the community and be closer to downtown often utilize that airport. So distinctly two different airports. I like to think of them as a network of airport, a regional airport doing commercial service, charters, larger businesses, and our downtown airport primarily focused on general aviation, flight training, and that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. Commissioner Watkins?
Yes, on the procurement process, I can see that Reeves Construction is a local company that was awarded this bid. I'm not sure about Goodwin, but if I'm reading the document right, we sent out information to 525 total companies. 27 were minority-based, and 3 were, responded. And I was curious on the fact we're celebrating that the local contractor won, but I was curious, did they use the local point preference to win, or what was a little background or more information on how that went?
Right.
Cause I didn't see the bid tabulation form and I might have missed it. It's a
Right.
voluminous document.
Procurement is, we follow all of the standards that they set forth for us. I don't remember all the details as it relates to that particular award, but I do know that what I can tell you is because this is we are using federal dollars on this project. It is over $200,000. We have to follow very strict guidelines set forth by the FAA in terms of selection of DBEs and that type of thing. We do have a goal for this project. That DBE goal is 4.07%. We put a great deal of emphasis on the need for the contractor to meet that, and Rees has done a very good job in the past in doing that. We also hold all retainage for that project until we have confirmation that the DBEs have been paid on these projects. So we follow it very closely. We follow the plan that we have to deliver to the FAA. So I can't give you the specific details as to how that project went. I don't recall. But what I can tell you is I know that we have followed the guidelines that are set forth for us, and we do ensure that we work with the DBEs in addition to that.
So, and just so I understand,
Yes, sir.
for the entire project, you have a DBE goal of, you said 4.0 or?
For 4.07%, and this is specific to this project.
Okay, and is that with prime vendors or subprime vendors?
Those would be, the prime would select the sub, which has to include 4.07% of DBE at a minimum. So that is the goal that's set forth with them. If that cannot be made, they have to give a detailed explanation as to why it isn't. But we're not going to have that issue.
And I'm just curious, are there any goals surrounding prime vendors, or there's just one prime vendor or two prime vendors for this contract?
For that particular contract, there's a goal set, and those are typically through the subs, not through the prime.
So I'm sorry?
It's 4.07% for the project. It has to be met in one way, shape, or form. Doesn't matter who it is.
And so I'm clear, that's about 200,000 should be spent with DBE?
I believe that's correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
That good, Commissioner Watkins?
Just when it's over, I've asked about the mall, I've asked you before, I've never actually gotten a follow-up or whatever document. I would love to see, like on paper, the 200,000, because I know you're waiting on it, so if somehow that forward could make it back to me or the rest of the commission, it'd just ease my mind.
Absolutely would be pleased to go back and look at any of the ones that you've requested. I don't recall, and I do apologize for that. But I'd be happy to bring you anything that you'd like to see as it relates to our DBE, because we do take it very seriously and we're very proud to meet those goals. So, and I can proudly say that we have a reputation for where our contractors get and know and understand that if they do not ensure that we have followed the guidelines on that, we do not pay the retainage on it. So they get it because that's a substantial amount of money that they would miss out on if we're not satisfied with the delivery of the DBE. In addition to that, we've also worked with locals and helps of trying to get them the understanding and the training that they need to understand how to apply for these. We had a meeting with local vendors and also called in the FAA to come visit. And we even broadcast that through a Teams call where other airports were able to sit in and listen to understand what we're trying to achieve in terms of getting more folks qualified and to be able to bid this type of thing or to participate in it. So we're very proud of our record on that. I'm happy to share anything with you on that and take any suggestions or recommendations that you may have, because we do take it serious. We believe in it, and it's important, and we work very hard to achieve that. So no issues in sharing that with you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sounds very good and wholesome. Look forward to it. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Watkins. Commissioner Wynn?
Yes. Doug, thank you for coming over today. I appreciate it. Don't you sit down yet. I was really surprised at the number of people that use, different entities that use the airport out there. So that's good use of it. So we need to do something to make it better for them, looks like. I did have a question about this Goodwin Mills Kaywood.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I saw in the resolution where we'd already had a contract with them, an ongoing contract with them.
Yes, ma'am. They're our resident engineer, and this contract is specific to this project.
When it ends with them when they end this project, right?
No, ma'am.
Seems like
They're
a-
the resident engineer that will
Okay.
continue through the term of their contract.
They
This
were-
is specific to this particular project. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I saw where they were appointed a few years back
Yes,
to
ma'am.
do this. Okay.
They do the downtown airport, and then the other engineering firm is Passero, which oversees the Middle Georgia Regional Airport.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Howell asked about space at the hangars and space for the people that need to move their airplanes over there. Are they going to be charged the same amount?
We're not increasing anything. What we were able to do is, because there is a business that leases space to aircraft, we've asked the tenant to continue to pay that tenant, or excuse me, pay that business whatever rent that they're paying, and there's no additional charge to them. Should they wish not to continue their agreement with the business owner, then we would have to look at a different option. But the intent is not to benefit from this at all in terms of financial benefit for us. What we're trying to do is minimize any impact on the aircraft owner and the businesses that are there. So every step that we've taken ensures that we do that. And we try to cover every angle. Should someone not want to pay the business owner, then they would have to pay us, of course. So,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner Wynn. If there's no further questions, we do have a motion and second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. We sent the consent agenda. Commissioners, I did neglect to tell you, we do have a need to go into executive session tonight. We will do that toward the end. Item A of section 4 is going to be a ordinance to Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the appropriation of up to $500,000 in American Rescue Plan Act funds for the Macon Volunteer Clinic for the purpose of funding the move to and build out of a larger medical services. Ms. Nancy White is here today. Ms. White, if you don't mind coming up to the microphone here. And you said you have a one-page handout? Commissioners ever see the materials, but if you brought something with you tonight, we'll ask Dr. Moffitt to distribute those to commissioners. Give them just a second to pass those out. If we got enough. All right, Ms. White, if you don't mind, start by identifying yourself and who you're with on this particular item tonight, and then let us know a little bit about the project prior to us voting, and be prepared to answer any questions they may have. Let's go right ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Miller. I'm Nancy White, the Executive Director for Macon Volunteer Clinic. And 2023 represents our 20-year anniversary of continuous service to this community. We are pro bono with everything we do. We're a medical home for low-income, working, uninsured citizens of Bibb County, and we're 100% philanthropy funded and volunteer driven. Our doctors and dentists donate their time and services. So since we opened, we've been in the same 4,800 square foot building on the corner of Rogers and Ingleside. It was given to us for $1 a year by then Coliseum Medical Centers, and we funded the renovations through philanthropy. So here, 20 years later, we're in the same building, and our services and our volumes have expanded, and it's not really functional or meeting the needs of our patients, our services, or our volunteers. So we've been looking really since 2019, disrupted by the pandemic, of course, for a more suitable space that we can, that is within our means, being philanthropy funded. And we have looked at several, but they were just prohibitive in terms of just outright acquiring them. And we have encountered another similar situation to what Coliseum offered 20 years ago. There is someone that wants to provide to us a long-term lease, dollar a year if, again, we fund the building renovations. And it's about 8,000 square feet and has better parking, better security for our volunteers and our patients, in a zip code where there's a high percentage of uninsured citizens, closer to Piedmont Health, Mercer Medical School, and Atrium Health, all of which are very supportive of what we do, particularly with the medical students that rotate through and get a lot of hands-on clinical training. So thank you for this proposed contribution to this. Given our model of care, we will have to raise the money before we move forward on that, but the partner that we have in mind is ready to do that whenever we're ready.
Okay. Questions for Ms. White? Mr. Lucas?
Oh, given our model of business, we do have to raise the funding for this before we move forward with it. And this funding will help, you know, give us momentum for that to move forward in 2024.
Okay, I just have wondered over the years how y'all have made it with the limited resources that you have. I don't have specific information as to who you have served. Is there a way that you can kind of give us some numbers, break it down, uh, it- use demographics and whatever other figures you use? No, of course, no names or anything like that, but just the specific information so we'll get a feel as to who you've already been serving. And I certainly, as mayor and fellow commissioners, support this because we've had other conversations around this horseshoe about the poverty levels in Macon-Bibb County and the number of people who go without medical care. And I follow your newsletters that you've been sending out and other information on the volunteer clinic. And I'm happy to support this. Now, I don't know the figure. I'm just going to accept that as the figure that someone came up with, but who came up with that particular figure? And don't forget, I would like that detailed information.
Thank you for that. And I'm glad you get the newsletter. I hope others of you do. We actually have to keep very detailed, specific information like that because we apply for a lot of grants and we have to report back. So we can provide that to you in terms of gender, ethnicity, income. All of our patients are under 200% of the federal poverty level. Most are at 125%. Um, I would say a larger percentage are female, which is not surprising. Um, Again, we only serve 18 to 64 because given our eligibility criteria, if they're under 18, they would qualify for Peach Care. And of course, over 64, they would have Medicare. But these are the people that simply fall through the cracks. They can't afford an ACA plan on the marketplace. And they just, obviously they can't afford medical care out of pocket if they're not insured. And a single medical incident would just decimate their finances and they would never get ahead. But we have very detailed information that we can provide to you.
Okay, what are your other sources of funding?
We will apply to a couple foundations in town. We will do capital campaign to the general public, to individual donors as they want to. I really feel confident that we can raise this because of the model, because we're not also acquiring the land. This helps us live within our means. Again, we have pursued other possibilities, but given the market, the commercial market right now. It's just cost prohibitive to small nonprofit like us. And this is going to allow us to move forward because, again, we have the long-term lease for the land and the property itself in exchange for doing the building renovations that we need.
Okay, my question was, what are your other sources of funding?
I can't state that publicly yet, but we will in due time. With this gift, I believe that in early 2024, there's a lot of moving parts. You know, we're working with a construction company now that's putting together the design bill and so on. I wish I could be more open, but out of respect for the other people involved, I feel like I need to wait for them to be also at the table with us.
Okay, well, when you come and you ask for taxpayers' money, and this is federal taxpayers, well, we are all federal taxpayers and state taxpayers and local taxpayers. When you come and you ask for $500,000, you know, your information, and I didn't ask for names. I simply wanted, if there are organizations or entities, public entities, that you've received grants, that have awarded you grants, I wanted to know who those were because I would think that you've been operating all of this time, and there would be some folks who've supported
Absolutely.
the work. So what's the secret about?
Well, because we have been working on this since 2019, and we have actually held off asking for operating grants because we wanted to hold off for a capital campaign grant. We have soft commitments from foundations that we know will come to the table at the appropriate time, but we haven't been at the appropriate time because we didn't have a suitable location and building in hand. This is putting us at that place, and we can go with more specifics at that time to the foundation.
And Commissioner Lucas, I'll just add this if it helps, is that this money will be used as a match for those other
Correct.
soft promises there. They want to see some action on behalf of the county so they can match these funds and make this project work. So we wanted to take the first step. If it certainly don't get the funds on the other side, which I think is very doubtful, then of course we won't be spending any monies out. But this is the first shoe. A lot of times they have the money, they come to us and we do the match. In this situation here, if we do a particular match up to $500,000 and they're willing to match that amount through a couple of different sources, but they didn't want it to be publicized at that time until we get this information out and we approve it.
Okay, that's kind of a shaky way to do it, but I do support the work that they're doing, but it makes me a little nervous when folks can't say who else is in line to help with the funding. What's the total cost of your plan, what's your total cost?
We don't have the exact cost yet. It would probably.
But you know it's more than
It is,
500,000.
yes, it is definitely more than that. It's more than $1 million. It would be more in the range of 1.5 million.
Okay, that,
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. Commissioner Wynn?
Yes. Hi, Nancy White. Thank you for being here. She just asked one of the questions is what do you anticipate your needs are for this project to go forward, and you think 1.5 million to make it work. I appreciate what you're doing. That's a good effort for our community. You said the new location is going to be close to all three medical facilities or the medical school. And the other one you have right now, Rogers and Ingleside, is pretty easy to find and get to.
Yeah.
So I hope that the new location, are you allowed to tell us where the new location will be?
You know, we are talking about it somewhat openly, but again, you know, this is sequentially evolving. It is on Walnut Street.
Okay.
And it was formerly a medical practice. One of the greater expenses of this property will be fitting out the dental wing because that is more complex. It did not prior exist in this building. So getting the dental suite equipped, given the suction and the water and that kind of thing, It's going to drive up the costs a little bit. The rest, I think, is really going to be economical.
You'll move a lot of your equipment from the other facility, I'm
We
assuming.
will.
Okay.
We will.
But I did read, like Commissioner Lucas, I do read the newsletter, and
Oh, good.
the dental
Good.
is definitely needed because that's something most places don't give to
I
anybody.
know.
You know, so we appreciate what you do for that, for the people here, and I wish you luck
Thank you.
getting more funds.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wynn. At this time, we entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wynn, second by Commissioner Jones this time. No further questions. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries and be sent to consent agenda. Going to move on to grants. We have two of those tonight. Item 5A is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission accepting Georgia Department of Transportation funding, the amount of $5,305,542.14 for costs associated with runway 10-28 reconstruction project at the Macon Downtown Airport with a local match of up to $1,045,097.37. This is the amount we were just discussing earlier, and at this time, we entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Howell. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries and be sent to consent agenda. Item 5B is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the county submission of an application for roadside enhancement and beautification council grant and the eventual signing of a mowing and maintenance agreement for the beautification of Highway 247 and Avondale Rail Road interchange. This is a grant that there's no match for the county funds, and this is funds that we'll be getting to do some of that work. Mr. Watkins, you have a question, sir?
Yeah, I was waiting for clarity on 5A. Was that the grant funding what we approved earlier today, or is this a totally separate project?
Doug just left. That's the same funding.
Okay.
5B is the mowing. This is a grant that we're applying for. There's no guarantee that we'll get it, but they wanted to see a resolution from this commission before they would consider up to $50,000. This is around a general business area there and also out the airport location as well. So at this time, I entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Tillman. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Jones. You have a question, Commissioner Lucas? Got that look in your eye.
You can read my
Yes, ma'am.
the funding, does anybody know whether this was federal coming into the state and the state is allocating it? Did he leave?
Doug did.
Oh,
Dr. Mafia, you mind go
was
getting Doug real quick?
county
catch it.
manager. Was it originally federal and then came to the state and then the state allocated?
Yeah, I didn't know you were going back to the other question. We excuse him, but we'll go catch him real quick. I'll go back to your question, but can we talk about this grass right now?
Can we, what?
Can we finish this
Oh, yeah.
GDOT
Yeah.
grant? Okay.
Yeah.
He'll catch him out there for. Any other questions on this particular mowing and maintenance agreement for the beautification of 247?
Oh, okay.
Mr. Watkins?
So, I was trying to pull it up. When we say 247, we're the entirety of 247 or a small section around Avondale Mill?
It's a small section right there, that loop that you're familiar with. It comes by Bibb Distributing. You can go one way to Smiley's, you go the other way coming down to Macon. It's the way to the airport and also to Nietzsche Hall and those places over there.
Oh.
So this is money
No,
up to
possible way
$50,000.
I could talk the rest of the board into it being for all of 247, being that it's one of our major thoroughfares, it's Pine Owner. all the
They
way
only grant up to 50,000, so the possibility of using these funds
Yeah.
for all of that would be very minuscule. But we've already applied for the grant, but it's subject to us approving this resolution, and we're specific about what we're gonna do. Yeah. So at this time, I entertain a motion for approval of the mowing and maintenance agreement.
So moved.
Got a motion second already? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries and be sent to consent agenda. Mr. Farrell, we had a question, I think Commissioner Lucas had a question about the funds for the item previous 5A on the runway 10-28. And Commissioner Lucas, if you don't mind restating your question, please?
Yeah, my question was, you know whether it was originally federal money that came into the state and then the state reallocated it? That's the way it is with a lot of airport grants.
Sure is.
So,
This wasn't a particular block grant. Some of this, a small percentage of it is federal money, but this is what the state refers to as a 75-25, where a majority of the project is paid through 75% of the state, 25% of local funds. So there is some federal money. We used the bill money that we had, the bilateral infrastructure law money that we used on that, and then a small bit of our entitlement money, which is FAA dollars. Yes, ma'am. That portion of it, and I don't know the exact amount, it's roughly a couple $100,000. That amount was AIP funds, which is processed through the block grant state, where the FAA gives it to the state and the state gives it to us. Yes, ma'am.
So lot of the, especially the large amounts of money, like the money that you get for the airline and all of that, it's federal money coming through from the Biden administration,
Yes, ma'am.
FAA, and then it comes to the state, and then the state is granted the right to reallocate it
Yes,
for
ma'am.
various state projects.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Our federal money at work.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Watkins?
Yeah, so like you say, it's a 75-25. Remind me what part of money our $1 million match comes from? Is it real money or is it like cost?
So the 75-25 is a state project.
No, I guess I'm
So-
looking at this is a $5.3 million grant where local match of $1.45 million.
Right.
That comes from what pot of money? I'm curious.
There's several pots of money. There's bilateral infrastructure law money that was utilized for that. There is entitlement money that we get every year from the FAA, which is roughly, I believe it's $125,000 per year. And there were some years rolled up into that. And then the rest of that is the 75-25, where the state paid for whatever's left. The state paid 75% of that, and the local match is 25%.
And I guess for me, if I'm understanding correctly, the 25% local match we were able to create without going into general fund savings or fund balance. Is that what I'm understanding?
All of this has been previously appropriated by the commission. I think a large portion of it was done through last year's mid-year adjustment. There is 15,000, I believe, still outstanding to be appropriated, and that'll come to you whenever Julie is back and at the appropriate time.
Any additional questions on that? We've already voted on the item, but any additional questions before we excuse Mr. Fayor? Okay. Thank you, sir. We're going to move on to item 6A. Item 6A is ordinance of Macon-Bibb County Commission to amend various provisions of Chapter 4 of the Macon-Bibb County Code of Ordinances for the purpose of updating limitations on the retail sale of alcohol beverages by licensed manufacturers for consistency with state law. And I'll ask Attorney McNeil to present that to you.
Thank you, Mr.
I got you. Just let me do it. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a code change that I've been meaning to draft for a couple of years now, but it's fairly straightforward, but explaining it requires just a very brief history lesson. So in 2017, the Georgia General Assembly amended state liquor laws to create two new categories of state alcohol licenses. One was called a malt beverage tap room, and one was called a cocktail room. And those each allowed manufacturers of alcoholic beverages to get a second license so that they could sell at retail at the site of their manufacturing the types of alcohol that they manufacture. So a brewer would get a manufacturer's license and a malt beverage taproom license, and that would let them sell the beer that they brew at the place that they brew it. So this commission adopted an alcohol code change in 2018 to incorporate those two alcohol license types. In 2021, the state legislature went back and abolished those two new alcohol license types to loosen the restrictions and just say, all you need is a manufacturer's license. You no longer need the second license, and if you have a manufacturer's license, you can just sell directly to retail those products that you manufacture on site. And so this updates our alcohol license code to abolish the cocktail room license and the malt beverage tap room license. It takes out any references in the code to either of those two types of licenses to just say manufacturer's license is now enough by itself to do those things. And then the other thing that they did when they changed the law in 21 was there are limits on quantity that can be sold by these manufacturers directly to retail. And the state law actually doubled those limits in the 2021 legislation from the 2017 legislation. And so this updates those quantity limits to reflect the new limits that they are in state law, which is 288 ounces of malt beverage per person per day, which is 24 cans of beer, or it's now 4.5 liters of liquor per day per customer. And so this just matches what the state law is.
Commissioner Tillman?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I appreciate that update, and update's probably needed, because I remember that ordinance, because I think it was several of us went to Denver, Colorado, if y'all recall, and it was booming out there with those particular businesses, and then Macon started having all these pop-up breweries, and the state just thought, oh, we're fixing to make all this money, and then whatever happened, it just ceased, because folks were not drinking as much beer as they thought. So this is just a good idea to go back and help those entrepreneurs, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. I'll take that as a motion by Commissioner Tillman.
That is a motion.
We have a second. Second by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Commissioner Wynn, you have a question?
Yeah, that was, in that ordinance, was there something about cigars too? Cigars.
No, ma'am, we don't regulate cigars.
I know, but I thought it was in the ordinance somewhere. I have to look and see. Look under.
No, we don't regulate cigars at all in our alcohol code. We don't regulate tobacco at all.
Well, I thought Kay had, one of them was a cigars regulation under this. Maybe I misread.
I don't know.
Are you a cigar smoker?
Yeah, I thought it goes along with drinking, you're gonna be smoking a cigar too.
We
Okay.
do, so in our definition section in the code, one of the categories, we've talked a lot about Vice Marts, for example, and gas stations as different types of vendors. One of the categories is specialty stores, and there's a list in the code of examples of specialty stores. And so a tobacconist is an example of a specialty store that can also sell, get a beer license. So that's what that's referring to. It's like a cigar store.
I told you I saw it in there.
It is
was
in there, but it's,
Okay.
we're not regulating
I'm
it.
not- I haven't been drinking that much yet.
Yes, ma'am.
Goodness. Thank you, Commissioner Wynn. Commissioner Lucas, you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about, where is health and safety in there? Anywhere? Is there, or is there another section that's referenced there?
Do you mean in the alcohol code generally?
Yeah,
Sure. So this, the commission has public policy authority when it's reviewing alcohol licenses to determine if there's a health and safety concern about like a specific license applicant. But this doesn't affect that. This is purely, once you get the license, what can you do with it? Does that answer your question?
yeah, but don't some of these folks make their own
Oh, yeah. So
stuff?
they all do, right. These are licensed manufacturers of beer
Yeah.
and liquor. To be a licensed distiller, that's a state, local, and federal license. And then to be a licensed brewer, that's a state and local license. And they're subject to various inspections and standards and that kind of
Okay,
thing. Yes, ma'am.
I was just curious.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a motion and second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously to be sent to consent agenda. We got items 7 and 8. Item 7A is the Blue and Gold Star monuments. This is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission accepting the donation and authorizing the placement of a Blue Star Memorial Marker and a Gold Star Memorial Marker at Fort Hawkins, subject to the approval of the Director of Macon-Bibb County's Parks and Beautification Department as to the location of said markers. That is my motion. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Tillman. You got a question or follow-up, Mr.
Just
Tillman?
like to be added as a sponsor.
Yes, sir, we'll do that. Anyone that wants to be added as a sponsor, please let Ms. Ross know. We'll add you as a sponsor. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously to be sent to consent agenda. Thank y'all for being here tonight. I know there's several that were interested in that. We're going to move on to items 8A and B before we go into executive session. This is a year-end ordinances, an ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve a supplemental appropriation for the transfer of $50,162,214 from the fund balances of multiple funds in the fiscal 2024 budget to account for outstanding purchase orders. This is something we do each and every year. But if you have a question, I'll have Ms. Christie, if you'll come up, Alucci to come up to answer any questions. But I'm assuming this is a standard practice. These are outstanding purchase orders that we've already had funds appropriated to, but we need to carry over because we're in a different fiscal year. Any questions for her on that regard? No questions. I'd entertain a motion for approval. Commissioner Watkins,
How much are we carrying over?
Ms. Lucci, if you want to come over.
Christy Alucci, Director of Finance, Macon-Bibb County.
There you go.
And the questions, how much are we carrying over?
Yes.
The 50 million on the ordinance.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Major
Okay.
projects related to the 50 million?
Mostly in SPLOST. This is almost identical to last year's rollover. So the majority of that is in your SPLOST because that is a big capital projects fund. I believe, I don't have the exact numbers here, but general funds basically the same as prior year. This is probably within $1.5 million of what we carried over last year. And these are just open purchase orders at 6:30 since all business is not complete at the end of the fiscal year.
Commissioner Jones?
Just to comment, I saw Miss Iolucci in the hall, and I said, so good to see you. I haven't seen you in such a long time. I believe we have an ordinance on the books that comes from the Rickard administration. We're supposed to have a monthly report from our valued employee, so.
That's usually item number 2 in my monthly report. I give the exact spreadsheet that finance gives me with the complete overall budget and the complete report of the SPLOS and loss numbers. So I send that to you monthly.
Yeah, this goes out in your county manager's report each month.
Okay, that's different, but okay.
At this time, I entertain a motion for approval of item 8A. Motion by Commissioner Wilder. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Lucas. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item 8B is ordinance of Macon-Bibb County Commission to amend the fiscal 2023 general fund budget to $248,167,207 in total revenue and $248,167,207 in total expenditures, resulting in a supplemental appropriation of $1,692,873 in other year-end adjustments. Questions regarding this item, Commissioner Watkins?
Yeah, so I've also shared Commissioner Jones's sentiment for sometimes as it relates to the monthly reports. I know I was here, a member of the commission when we passed it, and I know it must not explicitly state that it was an oral presentation or a presentation to the body, but I know that was implied and expected and honored for many years. Recently, we started, in the last couple of years, we've started accepting it as a part of the county manager's report, but I would also like to note that I don't get the county manager's report consistently every month either. I don't know, maybe my email is broken on that, but we're in the middle of December, and I don't know if I got one in November. And I don't know what happens when we consistently violate our charter, but that is a thing that allows us to keep up with the money. So, but anyway, I yield.
Thank you for those comments. This time, I entertain a motion for approval of item 8B. Motion by Commissioner Lucas. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Wynn. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries will be sent to consent agenda. This time, I entertain a motion to go into executive session for consultation with county attorney or other legal counsel to discuss pending or potential litigation, settlement claims, administrative proceedings, and all other judicial actions allowed by law. I got a motion to go in executive session? Motion by Commissioner Wilder, second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We're now in executive session. Got a motion come out of executive session? Motion by Commissioner Wynn, second by Commissioner Wilder. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We are now in executive session. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to add an item to the agenda. It reads as follows. In order to the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the appropriation of up to $4.1 million American Rescue Act funds and the purpose of funding one-time retention bonus in the amount of $2,500 for each full-time employee and $1,000 for each permanent part-time employee other than elected officials and all other lawful purposes, those employees that were employed before July 1st. This time, we entertain a motion to add that to the agenda. Motion by Commissioner Tillman, second by Commissioner Watkins. All those in favor of adding this item to the agenda, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. At this time, we'd also entertain a motion on the item that we just read, and it's my understanding that all 9 commissioners would like to co-sponsor this. I know Commissioner Bronson's not here, but I know he'll co-sponsor as well. So at this time, I entertain a motion for approval of the item. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark, second by Commissioner Lucas. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our pre-commission meeting. We're going to move right into our regularly scheduled meeting in just a second. And welcome everyone. Time is now 6:10, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to our regularly scheduled Board of Commission meeting. Today is December the 5th, 2023, and I'd like to officially call this meeting to order. We're going to begin our meeting like we always do, and that is with a word of prayer led by our Commissioner Raymond Wilder, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. So at this time, those that can and will, please stand, bow your head, and we'll begin the prayer.
Dear Lord, we just thank you for this day. We just thank you for safety today. Thank you for this opportunity to come into this city hall and conduct business for our county. We just ask you, Lord, to lead us and guide us in all that we do, to glorify you in everything that we do. We just ask you, Lord, at this time for safety of everyone traveling back home, and ask you for just be with us throughout the rest of this meeting. In Jesus' name.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We do have a couple of presentations tonight, at least one presentation tonight. Members of the United Way campaign come forward, and Dr. Moffitt.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, all in attendance. It is that time of year where we partner with United Way in the, I call it the campaign of a lifetime. We're able to support people in our community, and the way we do it is we have our campaign where we ask all the employees to give. We strive for 100% of employees to give something. They have a couple of different ways. They can give a one-time contribution, or they can give a payroll deduction that will carry for a whole year. So at this time, United Way would like to present us a check of showing of how much Macon-Bibb County presented on last year. They have a brand new face among them, a gentleman who I've known for a number of years. He's joined them in the last month, Mr. Carl Timms, the Chief Operating Officer, and his staff here. So would one of you like to come up and talk about the campaign and how the check?
Well, really, I just, not so much about the campaign, just extend a word of thanks on behalf of George McCandless, our president and CEO, who's not with us here tonight, and on behalf of our 22 partner agencies and the thousands of people that have been helped by the United Way contributions and the contributions from the Macon-Bibb government. We appreciate that. We'll look forward to the campaign that we're embarking upon now, and in whatever way we can help, we're here to do that. So we're excited about what's to happen. So thank you very much.
So as you see, Macon-Bibb County employees contributed $28,044.75 to this community, to the United Way. Thank you to all Macon-Bibb County employees.
Other items on the agenda, item 6A is an approval of minutes from November 21st, 2023 meeting. I got a motion to approve. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark, second by Commissioner Wynn. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Thank you very much. I'm not sure, do we have any public comments on agenda items? No public comments on agenda items. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a consent agenda tonight. The consent agenda were items that were previously voted on at our pre-commission meeting. They are items A through K. K includes the last ordinance that we added with the retention bonus for all of our employees, and that is item K. So at this time, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through K. Can I get a motion to approve? Motion from Commissioner Waters, second by Commissioner Howell. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Lucas, got that look in your eye. We did it all together, but I can separate and read it again if you like. This is on the retention? Yes. Sure. So we added an item to the agenda that was voted on unanimously and sponsored by all commissioners as well as the mayor earlier, and we're going to separate this even though we've already voted. This is an ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the appropriation of up to $4.1 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds for the purpose of funding one-time retention bonus in the amount of $2,500 for each full-time employee and $1,000 for each permanent part-time employee other than elected officials. And that passed unanimously and was sponsored by the mayor and all commissioners together. Commissioner Lucas, did you want to add something to that?
It is great that the federal officials have made it possible to send money, our own tax money that just happened to have gone to the federal level, that they have made it get money back here that we can utilize for filling in the gaps where there are missing pieces. And there are people who always want to talk about law enforcement, public safety, and we love them. We have made 4 different adjustments, I believe, over the last several years for public safety. This, to me, is so important because not only are we getting the assistance from the federal level, but we are also able to do something for all employees. And over the years, we've talked about the lowest paid employees and how they need to be compensated. And this gives us an opportunity to say thank you to all of our employees, no matter what the level is. But it also is an extra incentive for those employees who make the lowest on our pay scale. So I'm happy to support this.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. This time that completes all of our items on the agenda that successfully passed, and we're going to move on to general public comments on non-agenda items. We have several of those tonight. You're limited to 5 minutes. Don't have to take all 5 of those, but we certainly want to hear from you on those items. We're going to call up the first person on here, and we'll ask you to come to the podium and speak into that mic and identify yourself. Mr. Larry, and help me pronounce that last name. Ife, thank you very much, sir. Addressing homelessness. We got it.
So, hello? All right, so my name is Larry Ife. I just wanted to talk to the committee or whoever and share my homeless experience that I had at Brookdale Resource Center. I want to start off by saying there's a guy named Matt Walsh who had a show called America's Most Wanted, He didn't become passionate about it until his son got kidnapped and murdered, and then that became his life's calling. For me, I didn't care about homelessness until I was thrown into homelessness twice here in Georgia, and now it's become a part of a passion of mine. And I've experienced some lows here in Macon, Georgia, where you get looked at like you're kind of a lower class citizen, and you get food that's outdated and expired. And I've also had some highs. Those highs occurred at Brookdale Resource Center, and that's what I wanted to focus on tonight real quick with 3 points, three observations that I have from there. That's one to share. The first thing is, the first point is called free mentality. I know that typically when you pay for something, you appreciate it more, and it puts you in a position of being a respectable, contributing member of society. And that came to mind when a lot of residents would just come there, stack their money, and just take advantage of the hospitality of the system there, and that rubbed me the wrong way. So I was hoping that down the road, maybe they could have a program I call the 10-40-50 program, where maybe 10% of your check goes towards actually paying rent there, 40% goes to your pocket, and then 50% may go into a savings account. And if you complete the program, you get it back. If not, you get it penalized like a IRA or something like that, because I think that may incentivize people to stay the whole way and not just come take advantage of the services and leave. Second point is called generate revenue / reduce financial dependency from outside sources. It'd be nice if there's able to, once again, I don't know about budgets and all that stuff, but it'd be nice if Brookdale could expand their housing to include off-site housing that are owned and operated by Brookdale, such as single-family homes and apartments for the graduates, because this would allow Brookdale to receive housing subsidy payments, which in turn reduces what I call the double-dipping financial burden of the government. I know the government helps finance Brookdale to operate it, but then when people graduate, the government has to also finance the subsidy payments. So I was trying to think of a way that maybe Brookdale could retain that money somehow. Once again, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I just wanted to say it. The last and final step is called delivery of services. My experience at Brookdale was very good. The staff was very efficient. At the same time, there was a breakdown of communication between being homeless and being on staff. There was still a complete disconnect. So for me, part of bridging that gap, once again, I can't tell them what to do, but it'd be nice if the staff must all have personally been through a homeless experience, and then they would share their meetings, they would share their experience at new resident meetings that they have every week. That way, it's not like the staff is here and then the homeless people are here and there's no connect there. We're all on the same level. We've all been somewhere. If a staff member has no homeless experience, I think it'd be a cool opportunity, maybe not opportunity, but if them and their family had to stay for 3 days or so at Brookdale and experience life from that side. Once again, I won't call it an opportunity, but, or privilege. I don't know what I call it, but it'd be a nice idea. Can I read my conclusion real quick?
Yes, sir, you got 1 minute.
Oh, good. All right, so conclusion. Based on my homeless experience at Brookdale Resource, I believe the city of Macon and the state of Georgia owes it to this facility to not only invest in a one-year discovery to check the feasibility, financial reality, and purposefulness of implementing some of these suggestions, but also to provide the financial assistance and backing as well with favorable rates and financing options. And in the spirit of full transparency, me and my family, my wife and 3 young kids, have been thrown into homelessness twice, like I said, and we are currently homeless because there's no decent option that allows us to remain intact as a family unit while going through this season. So it is in my best interest to push for Brookdale to expand their off-site family housing sooner than later. And I'm using Brookdale as an example because that was the best place we got for resources that addressed homelessness. We successfully completed the program at the end of May and had to return to Michigan to settle affairs with the death of both my parents. On our return, we were thrown into homelessness again and asked if we could get back into Brookdale, and we were told no because the policy said once you graduate, you can't get back in there. So once again, this is full transparency. I would love to see that, and I'd love to see that housing option with Brookdale. And as a PS, if you're open to any of these suggestions and are looking to contract a consultant, I'm available immediately. I'll be needing family housing options, of course. And I have my contact information if anybody's interested.
Thank you, Larry. I being here tonight, and I appreciate you being here and enjoyed our previous conversation that we've had together. So thank you very much, sir. Larry's also an author, I understand. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Next, we're going to call on Mr. George Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad wants to talk about community issues. Good to see you, Mr. Muhammad. Same thing, 5 minutes, sir, and we won't start until you get to that microphone.
Peace and blessings, honored mayor and county commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity as a native resident of Macon-Bibb to address my concerns in this forum. We voters, taxpayers, and residents are failing to hold you accountable as we must if our community is to prosper for everyone. We have a great diversity here of income, education, age, gender, ethnicity, and race, including white, Asian, Indian, Latino, Native people, Black African, Caribbean, and Black American. And everyone's issues, needs are important. It is only the Black American people who were free labor enslaved for the wealth of others in Macon, bought and sold on this very street, Poplar, even by Macon city government and with a mayor who was a slave master. And the aftermath, still today, 200 years later, is a legacy of redlining, inequity, oppression, and injustice. Our leadership is charged with justly, respectfully, effectively representing us all, serving us all. That is why we need the Rosa Parks Square Monument Park completed across the street, which is to honor Rosa Parks' work as a Southern freedom symbol and our local freedom luminaries. It needs to be completed and funded by this government as soon as possible, beautifully and properly, to lift education, inspiration to all our community and all of those who visit Macon. It's time to act on what is good and right. I don't have the time here today to address all of my concerns. The main point is our present leadership is not acting in the manner that we need. We need leadership that respects us in Pleasant Hill, Unionville, Fort Hill, South Macon, Bloomfield, Greenbrier, West Macon, East Macon, enough to seek our input before major decisions are made with our tax dollars that impacts our quality of life, our property, homes, our neighborhoods, our future here. We are not getting that. The economic and environmental impact and future projections of change in the neighborhoods surrounding the Macon Mall Amphitheater need to be discussed directly with the people in their neighborhoods who live there. We need protection in East and Central Macon from the exploitation, damaging impacts, neglect of Georgia Department of Transportation, and endless projects of so-called improvement, keeping our neighborhoods torn up and on edge, traffic snarled, and more dangerous. We need respect for crucial institutions like Booker T. Washington Center that have traditionally strengthened our youth, families, and seniors to be fully funded, not having to rent out its rooms like a profit-desperate hotel to be open, but be free to serve all the people with programs of edification, nurturing, learning, love, and strength of heritage. It harms our people to be neglected, as our current leadership is doing. We need the millions from federal and state initiatives earmarked for helping to repair the lives and neighborhoods of most notably Macon Black, at-risk, and low-income people to be, in fact, invested in them, their healing, life improvement, community building, change for the better we should all see, feel, and find easy to measure in truth, not hype. The American Rescue Plan funding, over $176 million, now nearly spent, needs to be publicly accounted for in print and online for the community's people to see. And what's left now, if anything, invested in helping people to heal themselves and the condition of their neighborhoods. The federal funds were to be for the life transformation, empowerment, creation of new opportunities, and a better environment for our most vulnerable people and areas in Macon-Bibb County affected by the COVID pandemic. The old Bateman and Wade building, not as a sleaze mart for trash food, alcohol, and gambling, but as a health food co-op of nutrition, information, fruits, vegetables, quality products, could have been renovated with American Rescue Plan funds. You say it was irredeemable, but 4 years ago, November 30th, 2019, the lights were on in it, and they were about to open a convenience store, Sleaze Mart, and it wasn't falling in. Our local leadership saves what it wants to save, finds tens of millions to fund what it wants to fund, tears down what it wants to, neglects and what and whom it sees no value in, cares nothing about, and has little or no budget for what Black people need and how they are impacted. Historic Vineville banned sleaze marts and gambling convenience stores from corrupting their neighborhood. That is the way all black neighborhoods should be, but they aren't. People respect you when you respect yourself. We must have change for the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Thank you for being here tonight. We're going to go and move on to Miss Deborah Woods. Deborah Woods. Thank you for being here tonight, Ms. Woods. Ms. Woods is going to speak on a housing issue. We'll give her a moment to get down front.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mostly I like to thank the Lord for being here tonight. My issue is a problem with making housing. I stayed in housing, and I am a working parent. I just recently had surgery over my eyes, so y'all look over me. I just recently stayed like in 2 shelters. I stayed at the Woman Center 90 days, and I was told to go get my Section A vouch after I left the Woman Center to go to the Salvation Army and receive my Section A vouch. And from there, I would receive my housing. But before I applied with the Salvation Army, I went to Tenderfield because I stayed in Tender Heights. And I was a bus driver and bus monitor. I had a professional job when I was living there, 2010. So I feel like I shouldn't have had no problem getting my housing once I reapplied with Tenderfield. The lady told me that I needed my Section A voucher. So I went and I was told to go to the Salvation Army. Once I got there and did my program with the Salvation Army, I also worked that on last year. When I received my Section A voucher, I worked off and on for the Salvation Army Christmas seasonal work. And I was given a letter through my supervisor to let Macon House know that I already had stayed in Turner Heights and that I was trying to do an application to receive housing again with Tenderfield. And right now, I still haven't received my housing. I am disabled and I do have income. And I think Macon Housing should change because I'm 64 right now. And I have 2 sons that lived in Turner Heights. They went to school and played basketball. And some of my issue came once I started working for the school board. I was a bus driver and bus monitor. And once I started applying back with them, seemed like it was an issue, which I don't understand. Because, like I said, I was homeless, and it's not easy to keep going back to no shelter. When I was in the shelter, I attended the church. I did their program. And when I was at Brookdale, I went to church. I attended their program. And when I went to Salvation Army, I attended their program. And once I left and I was at the Salvation Army, I went back to work for Bill County. I worked lunchroom monitor. So I feel like, they should change. They try to help folks that really out here trying to do better for themselves, and that's what I wanted to speak on. It should be a change. If I do an application and they did get my Section A vouch and stuff, like they told me I needed my vouch, but I still haven't got no help.
Thank you, Ms. Woods. Thank you for being here tonight. Mr. Edward Foster wants to discuss some community issues. Mr. Foster, thank you for being here tonight. You've also got 5 minutes from the time you get the microphone, sir.
Well, thank you for having me here. My name is Edward Foster. I live in the Pleasant Hill community, and about 3 months ago, I joined the Pleasant Hill organization. And when I joined the organization, I didn't just take what I was hearing in the organization as far as what was going on in the community and what the concerns were. I took initiative to go out into the community myself. I started a tennis program. I started a free soccer program for the children, just something to open their minds up to new things. And something I also did, I walked around the neighborhood, and I actually go door to door. I'm third generation Pleasant Hill. My grandparents lived there, my parents lived there, and I now live there. And because I only have 5 minutes, I'm just gonna go ahead and get to the point. The people in Pleasant Hill feel like they are not represented. They are not heard. And what happened with Bateman and Wade, rather, I've heard that it was cause of crime. I heard cause it was a blight. Assuming, let's just go ahead and assume all those things are true. Why wasn't the Pleasant Hill organization notified and just said, hey, this building is a problem. We're gonna tear it down. When things are there, when things like that are handled in the community, the people start to feel like they have no voice. And the reason I come down here today is to introduce myself to the council, because y'all are gonna start seeing a lot more of me. Because when I walk around the computer, and I mean literally I knock on doors. I'm 44 years old, I'm old school. I don't do the social media, I don't do the Facebook. If I wanna talk to people, I go talk to them. Give me your phone number. I know the community from top to bottom, from seniors, middle age, all the way down to kids, because I coach kids. Because I coach kids, I get the opportunity to talk to a lot of mothers and fathers. Because I move around through the community and knock on doors, I get to talk to a lot of seniors, voters, people that pay taxes and make votes and expect to be able to have some say on what goes on in the community. So what I'm here tonight for is hoping that moving forward, if anything's going on that you plan on doing in or around Pleasant Hill, that you reach out to the organization. When Bateman and Wade was torn down, I saw on the news they had the Vinefield Committee Association there. Mr. Mayor, you was there. Our commissioner was there. Our president wasn't there. He wasn't invited. And that shows to me, when I saw that, I was alarmed. Y'all should see the email I sent out to the organization, because that just shows a lack of respect for our president, for our organization, and since we represent the organization, our entire community. We must move forward in a better way together if we want to get this city on track. Because what goes on in Pleasant Hill ultimately going to affect everything that goes on in Macon. And not only when we talk about the seniors in Pleasant Hill, we're also connecting with other seniors in other communities. So the things that go on in Pleasant Hill, we let other people in other communities know, look, this what's going on over here. Beware. And instead of it being a situation like that with the Pleasant Hill organization and the government, we want to open up a dialogue where we can reach out to y'all, because we have a lot of stuff going on that we're trying to do. Like the tennis and the soccer program, I do that with zero fund. Mr. Muhammad, he got classes that he do over there to Booker T, teaching kids martial arts, zero fund. Just our hard work, time, and energy. And we just would like the city, we would like the city just to meet us halfway with our efforts. And since this is my first time extending myself, I'll say, even though I've only been in the organization about 3 months, I'll take half of the blame, because for 3 months, I guess I could have reached out to self. You're the commissioner over the area. I could have reached out to you. Mr. Mayor, you the mayor of the city. I guess I could have reached out for you. So I'll take half the blame for the communication. But moving forward, we have to get on the same page. And y'all will be hearing from me. I'll be reaching out and letting y'all know certain things that we going on in the neighborhood, because I don't want to be in a situation where every time I talk to y'all, I got 5 minutes to get out what I got going on, because I'm not even saying half of what I really want to say. I
I got to put it in this 5-minute box. So moving forward, when we reach out, if you hear from somebody like our president, our vice president, Mr. Muhammad, or myself, I'm Edward Foster. I'm the chair. I'm the chair over the basic needs. But I will be in touch, and I just want us to be able to. Hopefully, we can get on the same page and be on the same path, but we can all work together to make Pleasant Hill and Macon a better place to live.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Mr. Wade Horton. Mr. Horton, I was worried about you last time. You didn't show up to speak at our meeting. I had to send somebody after you. You're speaking on the Macon Transit Authority tonight, so you know the routines. You got 5 minutes, sir. Good to see you again.
I know you care. Thanks, Les.
Yes, sir.
I am starting back with the response to the Mallory Jones endorsement letter of Craig Ross. And before I get into that, let me go back to why we're here. We're here because several years we have been coming here reporting to you as honestly and as thoroughly as possible about the doings at the Transit Authority. We have not come here maliciously or attacked anyone. We just stated what is happening. And so there was probably a 4-page letter that was typed, double-spaced, so that all the wording could be read legibly and intact so that it could talk about the things that we talked about. I call it a prosecution against us. And so for several weeks, and I announced when it first happened that it was going to take me a while to get through, because just as the gentleman, Mr. Foster, said, we only have 5 minutes to respond. I only have 5 minutes to respond to several issues that was in a 4-page letter. And I would like to say that the author of this letter and we have a great relationship, to be honest with you. I've never had a bad dealing with Mr. Jones. But this is business. I have to address what he said in those letters, and it's going to take me a little bit because I take my time and I try to get it all out. And I did speak to Mr. Jones maybe a month ago, and he said that the research that he did, he stand by it. And I respect that. I did not do any research because I live this. I live it every day. Just like this is like my car. Your car, you want to wash and you clean and you do all this stuff and pay car note, insurance. Well, pay every month. At the end of the year, I'll be done invested $1,200 into Macon Transit. Now, I wish that there had been a letter when the Transit Authority was considering raising rates. I wish there had been a 4-page letter stating why that should not have happened, but it didn't. In the future, I will be getting into what led up. I won't get into the particulars, but I will get into what led up to me being put off of the Transit Authority for a good while. The letter never stated anything about that, but it only stated certain things. Now, I know during discovery of a case that I had against the Transit Authority that the practice of the CEO, Craig Ross, is to get people to say certain things about the Transit Authority in a good manner. It was done before with the commissioner, but the difference is that commissioner said nothing about what we was talking about. This commissioner did just the opposite. And so that is why we're here. We're here because instead of sticking up for the people and saying no rate fares, you do a 4-page letter prosecuting the case against us on why we are wrong through your research. I did no research because I live this. I live it every day. I don't need to research what I know.
1 minute.
I don't need notes to direct me because I'm telling you what I experienced. I just wish that we had people, when they're going to speak up against the issue, that they experience it. Come to the meetings, listen to what's going on, and then maybe you'll get a better understanding of what is happening. Again, Mr. Ross has said he uses the raising bus fares to intimidate. For example, there was a ADA issues at the terminal station that has to be addressed. And as soon as we had a meeting and it was discovered that he had to have those repairs and was receiving federal monies to make those repairs, he told the reporter, well, we're going to have to raise rates. Now, that letter stated that he's a great guy. And I believe he is. But we never put his character on the stand. We put in his work ethics and what he does for Macon Transit Authority.
Thank you, Mr. Horton,
Our
for those
attempt is
comments,
to keep
sir.
Macon moving. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We have a add-on here. Ms. Shakita Maxwell. Ms. Maxwell, you want to talk about, I think this says housing, is that correct? Okay.
Good evening. For some time, we have been spending money that I feel like we shouldn't be spending money on, like an extension of a runway. We have people who don't have housing. We can't keep spending money like it's play money, monopoly money, and you got real facts going on. The people of Macon shouldn't be coming up here telling you that they can't get housing vouchers. They don't have anywhere to stay. It's a runaround for how many days they need it. When you don't have anywhere to stay, you don't have anywhere to put on residence for you to vote. They're challenging voters right now because homeless people just had to put their last recorded address on anything. So a lot of people gonna come up for election. So what do they stand? We're spending money on runways when people don't have anywhere to stay. The whole premises of the Bloomfield Center, or whatever the Brookdale Center was, because 2 people lost their lives. They froze to death. So what do we think, they're not gonna freeze again? Where will these kids go tonight? We don't even know, because they can't be let into a center where it's built because of the premises up to keep people warm, to keep people sheltered. We can't keep this cycle of just spending money on things that make our friends rich and continue to make other people poor. We just can't keep spending money like that. We don't need any more tar at an airport when we got people who don't have nowhere to stay, when we don't have shelter, when their needs needs to be met. This is what the commission is for, to protect the citizens, all of them, not just who you want. Every one of them. We the people will not stand for it anymore. This is senseless. No one should have to come here to tell y'all about housing. Fix it. No one should have to come here and tell you about programs in the community. Do it. I've been asking for a playground and a vacant lot on Atwood Drive for the last 3 years. But Self gets one. What about our kids? They shouldn't have to go across the street to Sam's. They shouldn't have to go all the way to Fillmore Thomas to play. You took away Chuck E. Cheese where a kid can be a kid. And now it's going to be a collision center. Stop building collision centers and storages. Keep people in their home. Stop demeaning them. I'm going through an eviction right now because someone does not want me to stay where I live. It's personal. Rosa didn't give up her seat on the bus. I'm not giving up my house. No one will make me homeless. No one should let them sit here tonight and be homeless. You should be cringing in your seats because you know where you're going tonight. But it hurts my heart to see two babies don't know where they're going to go tonight because a facility is built for them to be housed in. They can't enter. It makes no sense to me. But we're building a runway for an airport that ain't here yet, but they're here right now. And they don't know where they're going to stay tonight. This is ridiculous. We got to get our priorities together because what we need to understand that volunteering, spending our time and money and energy to help others doesn't make the world better. It makes us better. We're better than this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. This does conclude our business tonight. Commissioners, thank you for all the wonderful job you did tonight, especially taking care of our airport. It's very vital to our community. At this time, we have no further items on the agenda. This meeting is hereby adjourned.